Hello class, let's talk about the final project. This video is going to serve as an explanation to what each and every one of the deliverables are, and I'm going to show you where to find examples and what to do. So let's take a look at the description of the project first. The goal of the project is to host a web server using Debian 13 and then in VirtualBox. For the web server application, we're going to be using Apache. And then we're going to learn how to upload files to that server, right? And how to connect to that server and so on. These are the technologies that you will be exposed to. Uh, as for the virtualization part, we're going to be using VirtualBox. For the operating system, we're going to use Debian 13 without a desktop environment installed, so as close to a server environment as possible. For the web server application, we're going to be using Apache. We're going to be using SSH for managing the server from our host computer. HTML because, well, web pages are served using HTML. That's what web pages are, right? Markdown because we're not writing HTML. We're generating HTML from Markdown, and we're going to use VS Code as our code editor to write our markdown that will generate with HTML that we will use SSH to send to our Apache web server hosted in our Debian virtual machine, who is inside our VirtualBox environment. See how all of these things connect to each other? This project is divided into 3 deliverables. It is designed that way so that you can implement this framework for other technologies too as you mature in your career in IT. Deliverable 1 is investigation. Deliverable 2 is implementation. And then deliverable 3 is a demonstration on how we use what we learn from the project, essentially, right? For each and every one of the deliverables, you're going to give me a PDF file and a Markdown file as you have done from your other assignments in the class. Now, what are the requirements for this project? A virtual machine and a PC where you can install Debian on, right? So the same requirements that you had for, well, starting the course is the same requirements that you have for this project. So let's start talking about deliverable 1. Now, the goal of deliverable 1 is to demystify the task that I have assigned to you. I have assigned you to make a web server, but that involves a lot of things. A lot of the terminology here is going to be unknown to you. You probably never heard about it. So now let's clarify the air. Let's understand what we're doing. So how are you going to do it? Answer these questions here. Just that. Just answer all of these questions over here, which is what I believe is the minimum that somebody that's going to attempt this project should have understanding of. The questions over here. Then you're going to read the tutorial. And you might be wondering, which tutorial? What are you talking about? Well, the tutorial that's going to show you how to actually set up a virtual machine, install Apache, set up the server, send files to the server, and so on. Where is that tutorial? Well, the tutorial is right over here, setting up Debian, setting up a web server in Debian. So open it, and your goal is to read this tutorial. Just read and nothing else. Read it and write down every term that you don't understand. So if you don't understand XYZ term, like let's say, I don't know, here, you didn't understand what bridge network adapter was or something like that. You're going to write it down and you're going to research it and you're going to add it to your deliverable 1 document. Again, all you're going to do is you're going to read it step by step, subchapter by subchapter, and write down what you don't understand. And then you're going to investigate it. You can use AI, you can use the web. Just make sure that you truly understand what you didn't understand when you were reading. Like, just don't copy paste the definition and then be at the same place. No, if you truly didn't understand what FTP was and you ask, for example, ChatGPT to explain it to you, just don't be satisfied with the definition. Actually understand what the technology is, what the term is, because it's only going to benefit you when you are actually doing the project. When you finish, put everything in a Markdown document and convert it to PDF, upload it to your GitHub repository and submit it to Blackboard. Now I'm going to stop right over here. Your Markdown file should contain proper Markdown syntax, well organized and easy to read. If you use any images, resize them properly. You can either use HTML to resize the image, or you can just go online and look for an image resizer and resize the image as you prefer. Here is an example of how I expect this document to look like. See, this is a proper example of what I what I'm looking for with deliverable number 2. And here I have a section that says concepts that I didn't understand, and it has a, you know, a definition of the concept. As long as you're okay understanding the definition, you should be fine, right? And if you want to look how the markdown for this looks like, you can always just click on raw and it'll show you the markdown there as well. Now let's show you how that looks like in VS Code. So in VS Code, if we go to final project, right, you're going to have a folder for your final project, and then each deliverable is going to have its folder. So for deliverable 1, here is my markdown file, you know, and here is my PDF file as well. Make sense? Perfect. Okie dokie. And here is my markdown file for deliverable number 1. The only thing that you need for deliverable 1 is knowing how to read and write and knowing how to write markdown. So you should be able to do deliverable 1 at any time. Okay, that ends the explanation for deliverable 1. Notice that here I am asking you to convert deliverable 1 to PDF and to HTML. There is a reason why, and that is because if you want, you can use this HTML for your deliverable number 3. That is totally fine. One thing that I want to show you is that, let me go to deliverable 1 and let me go to the HTML version, right? So this, if I right click and I open it with live server, which you have that extension installed in your system, you are gonna notice that that mine is gonna look different than yours. And the reason is that I have an style sheet link to this HTML page. And if you wanna have that set up, all you have to do is copy this style sheet that I have here and then insert it into your HTML. You can do it right over here before the script tag, right over here, right? So if you want to see an example of this, you can navigate my GitHub repository. So if you go to final project, deliverable 1, here is where you're going to find the style sheet, and you can download it by clicking on the download file. And if you want to copy that little bit of HTML, you can open the deliverable 1 HTML file and just click on raw. You do a Control F for styles.css. There you go. Style the CSS, and then just copy this and then add it to your HTML file in the same place as I added mine. This is completely optional. Completely optional, right? So you don't have to do it, 100% optional. So I'm just going to close this and let's return to the explanation of the project. So what are we going to do for deliverable number 3? Well, here is a video for deliverable number 3. I believe this is the old video. Yeah, this might be the old video. Let's see when it was uploaded. This was uploaded a year ago. Yeah, this is the old video. Let me go to Linux Workshop. Actually, if we go to setting up Debian, we should have the video here. Yes. Yep. I need to add this link here. After this video is over, I'm gonna go and edit this file so that you can get the video for you. So in the meantime, let me just navigate to the channel, and if we go to playlist and we go to fall 25, which is this semester, yeah, it's right here. This is the video right over here. It's an hour and 3 minutes, but I do the entire tutorial, the entire guide in a video format, right? So you can follow the guide here. You can follow the guide step by step, or you can, follow along with the video, either or. I want to give you a warning. This is a generic guide. This is not necessarily strictly for your class. This is very generic. How to set up a web server in Debian, step by step, very generic. There are things that I specifically marked for you, but there are other things that I did not. So you need to read slowly and go as slowly as you can. Most of this is going to be fine, but there are some things here and there that might not apply to you, right? So you need to go step by step and make sure that things that I'm doing here apply to your setup, right? So I'm going to go back to the instructions now. These are some resources that you are gonna need right over here. Apache commands that you should know, IP commands examples, UFW essentials, how to troubleshoot common Apache errors. It's just resources for you. I'm gonna scroll down, follow this guide. When you finish setting up your server, right? When your web server can properly host images, that means that, sorry, pages. That means when you reach step 8 and you have completed all of this, actually not step 8. Here I'm telling you exactly where you should stop. Yeah, steps 1 to 6, right? So deliverable 2 is only steps 1 to 6. So once you finish step number 6, right here, once you finish this step, which is managing your server virtual machine from your host, you're going to stop at this point because this is part of deliverable number 3. So once you do steps 1 to 6, you're going to come here and in a markdown document, you are going to answer these questions. Now, let's go back to my GitHub repository. So in my GitHub repository, you're going to find an example for up. And if you go to deliverable number 2, you're going to find an example of what 100 points looks like, right? What is the server hardware specification? A screenshot of the virtual machine, just like I'm telling you to do. So if you look over here, what does it say there? Take a screenshot, don't type it. What is the Debian login screen? Again, take a screenshot, don't type it. This is just an example I grabbed from the internet. What is the IP address of your Debian server virtual machine, right? So you find out what the command it is that you need to use. We do it during the guide, take a screenshot, and that's it. And so on. How am I going to grade deliverable 2? Your markdown file should contain proper syntax, well organized, images are properly sized, all screenshots are included. With that, let's move along to deliverable number 3. You're going to do step 7 and 8 from the guide so that you learn how to upload files to your web server. The purpose of step 7 and 8 is to teach you how to upload files to your web server. There are many ways to do it. In step 7 and 8, I show you how to do it. After you have learned how to do it, make sure that you remove everything inside the HTML folder. Right? We want this folder to be clean so that you can upload your own content. Right? In step 7 and 8, you pull a lot of files in there. We don't want those files anymore. Then you will create a new repository, right, for a website that you're going to build. Pick any topic that you like for any website, including the followings: at least 3 sections, images, and tables, right? So you're going to use Markdown, and you're going to create a Markdown document that contains at least 3 sections, images, and tables, right? On any topic that you want. Then you're going to convert that Markdown to HTML. There is an example in the video as well on how to do this. You will write this website Markdown and convert it to HTML. This is the style sheet that I was talking to you about. This is the little snippet of code that you're going to use to give some styles to your website, right? Here's a screenshot. So if we go to the screenshot here, you're going to see that I'm giving you, let me close this. Here is a screenshot of where to put the style sheet. Okay. Then you're going to commit everything to GitHub, and you're going to clone your repository in your Debian virtual machine, and make sure that your Markdown file is named index.html. Right? Clone the repository in the HTML inside the HTML directory. Now, this here is going to be the URL if you're using port forwarding where your website is going to be served as. And this is going to be the IP address of your repository. Say if you're using bridge network adapter, this is going to be the URL that you're going to use to reach your repository. Again, I am giving you examples in the guide for this as well. How am I going to grade deliverable 3? Your Markdown file for deliverable 3 contains a screenshot of your web server running, at least 2 screenshots, a link to your website's repository. Now, let me show you what I mean. First, I'm going to show you deliverable number 2. So deliverable number 2 right over here. This is the markdown file for deliverable number 2. Now, when we go to deliverable number 3, this is the markdown file for deliverable number 3. So I'm going to preview this on the side. Right. As a matter of fact, let me open the open containing folder. I'm going to open the PDF file so that you see what I'm talking about. So this is the link to the website that I decided to build to demonstrate my repository. The URL, right, the screenshot needs to show me the URL for your server and at least some of the website. I want to see the screenshot that looks like this, right? Because if the URL doesn't show the server over here, then you're not getting any grade. So I have 1 screenshot, 2 screenshot, 3 screenshots here, right? Port forwarding and bridge network adapter as well. I'm going to close this and I'm going to show you the repository that I built as well. Let's go back here. And this is the repository, which you have access to if you want to play around with. Right over here. So you can see I simply created a markdown file, with a couple of tables, right? I got all of this from Wikipedia, by the way. It's fine. You can just find information, whatever you want. That's totally fine. I am not concerned with the content. I'm more concerned with it meets the criteria that I am looking for on the topic that you decided to pick. I decided to create several files, but you are only required to make one. I'm going to close this. I'm going to close this. All of this is fine. And here is the markdown file in GitHub. So let me open the repository. Sorry, it's not what I meant. File, open folder, pizza. What is pizza? Pizza. See, a markdown file that I then converted into HTML. I'm gonna close this, close this, dismiss. And I wanna go all the way to this part here. Like always, there are timestamps over here and uploading files via HTTP. There you go, the last step. See, like I said, I show you exactly what I'm talking about with an example. I mean, the example that I did over here was in the video was of a resume. Everything is properly documented over here. Please work on your project slowly over the semester. Don't leave it for the last minute, because if you leave it for the last minute, it will take you time. Right? It's gonna take you time. The guide took 1 hour and 3 minutes, step by step. So just do the math, right? Especially if you had issues doing lab number 2. So please be diligent about the final project. And if you have any questions at any time throughout the semester, we can hop on a call. I can help you troubleshoot. We can do it together. Take care, and if you need my help, you know how to reach me.